You are listening to Greg and his friends talk sports. 10 to 20 minutes every day, Greg and his friends are talking about what Central Indiana sports fans are talking about. Every day on the Central Indiana Sports Report.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Central Indiana sports fans. Whenever you've chosen to listen to the Central Indiana Sports Report, you've made the right choice. I'm your host, Greg Mengel, and this is my new podcast, Greg and his friends talk sports. Every day, sometime between midnight and 6 p.m., 10 to 25, 30 minutes, we're talking about what Central Indiana sports fans are talking about. Usually in the mornings on weekends and early to mid-afternoon on weekdays, but it won't always be the same. Coming up, the Pacers and IU basketball both took losses. I'll talk with Mike Rich about the Pacers waving the white flag and then almost winning. And Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader will make another appearance and talk about the IU loss. And she also covered the girls basketball sectional at Lapel and has details. I have scores and highlights from the first day of the girls basketball sectionals at Lapel, Wapahani, Wabash, Pendleton, Yorktown, Western, Mississinewa, Carmel, Bethesda Christian, and Southern Wells. Before we get to that, I want to let you know that we had an IU report that we released Tuesday and a Purdue report earlier Wednesday, and we will have an IndyCar report on Thursday. It's a big one. The series has announced it'll be racing in Washington, D.C. this summer as part of America's 250-year anniversary. We also released a girls basketball sectional scoreboard show apart from this podcast on late Tuesday, and we will have sectional scoreboard shows on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday this week as well. Thank you so much for joining us. My friends and I will be back tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. You get it. The Indiana Pacers had won 3 of 4 going into Tuesday evening's game at home against the Utah Jazz, and with the current program, that's just too much winning. So on Tuesday, the entire lineup set out for quote-unquote rest. The Jazz made a trade and were shorthanded too. Looked like the Pacers were headed for an ill-advised win. They led through 2.5 quarters of this one, and by as many as 10 points. Despite no Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, TJ McConnell, or Ben Mathurin. Quentin Jackson had a career-high 24 points, and Jarris Walker was just 2 points short of his career high with 24 as well. Cam Jones made his first NBA start and went for 12 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds. And Isaiah Jackson continues to play well. He had a double-double of 11 points and 10 rebounds. Utah's Lauri Markkanen, who has been rumored as being a potential Pacers trade target, led all scorers with 27 points. And Isaiah Collier had 17 points and 22 assists. By the way, his 22 assists ranks 25th all-time on the Utah Jazz list for a single game. John Stockton has the first 24. I talked with our Pacers guy, Mike Rich, following the game. We talked about the Pacers' approach to the game, the performance, and the trade deadline.
Mike, I know this sounds crazy, and I know some people just can't fathom this, and I get it. But if you've seen the players who are potentially going to be drafted by the Pacers, I was really worried they were going to win this game tonight, Blake.
I was a little nervous through 3 quarters, but once that third quarter was over, I was like, yeah, this is exactly what we want.
Caitlin Cooper hinted that Rick Carlisle was in on the tank tonight because, of course, he didn't play anybody. And then Quentin Jackson might have been their best player tonight and then didn't play down the stretch.
Quentin Jackson played really well.
He's an NBA player, man. He is an NBA player.
Love his game, energy, coming off the bench, and I thought he had some pretty impressive dunks, and just all in all, a really good game for him. And I was just throw anybody out there and see what happens. I don't think there was any planning to even the starting lineup. Thought earlier we were looking at maybe Walker starting in front of Huff, not both of them starting together.
Mike, the good news is the guys who are probably part of the Pacers' future, Jarris Walker, Cam Jones, and possibly Taylon Peter and Quentin Jackson, all played pretty well, and they all got plenty of time on the floor.
They did. It was nice to see Cam Jones get that start under his belt, and he played pretty well. Furphy had a pretty good game too. It was good to see Peter get some minutes, and definitely good to see Jones get some minutes. Even Ethan Thompson got a few minutes. It was it looked more like a G League team than a NBA team.
The good news is the Noblesville Boom should be good, right?
I think they've won 6 in a row.
They have, and they have a bunch of guys with NBA experience, that's for sure.
They probably have the most NBA minutes for a G League team.
Probably. Mike, the next time you and I are scheduled to talk is Friday when the Pacers play Milwaukee. Hopefully the real Pacers show up for that one. But there's a really good chance that you and I will be talking before then, because the NBA trade deadline's like a little more than 24 hours away now, and the Pacers could pull the trigger at any moment. If they do, we will have a special Pacers report. I mean, if they just make some trade for draft picks, we won't. But if anybody significant leaves the team or anybody significant comes in, we will have a special Pacers report. If not, Michael, I'll talk to you Friday. Thanks for all that you've done.
Yeah, definitely. I look forward to it. I think there's something brewing that could happen before the deadline. It started to heat up tonight, and saw some big trades. I think there's a few more big trades out there, and I think there's a lot on the Pacers that are potential targets for some other teams, and we'll see what's offered to Kevin Pritchard, see if he's going to pull the trigger.
I have a feeling he's going to do something. Let's see if it's the big one. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. You have a good evening.
You too. Go Pacers.
Go Pacers.
There have been a couple of big trades in the last 24 hours. As Mike and I mentioned, James Harden is headed to Cleveland for Darius Garland. A couple of Hoosiers are headed to the Chicago Bulls in Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley. And just a few minutes ago, we learned that Anthony Davis has been traded to the Washington Wizards for a bunch of players and draft picks. The newest trade rumors include the Golden State Warriors' Draymond Green. Rough loss for the Indiana Hoosiers late Tuesday in Hollywood. Despite 33 points from Lamar Wilkerson, the Hoosiers had their 3-game winning streak snapped, 81-75 at USC. Wilkerson was 11 for 20 from the field and finished with 33 points. The rest of the Hoosiers were 15 for 43, and they were out-rebounded 40-25. Elijah Arenas, the son of Gilbert Arenas, scored 29 to lead the 17-6 Trojans. Here is Tipton Tribune and Elwood call leader, sports editor, and my friend Michelle Garmon to talk about a tough road loss out west. After 3 really pretty good performances in a row, Michelle, disappointing loss at USC.
It was a disappointing loss, but I will say this, for as poorly as they struggled to shoot the ball, and you figured that Nick Dorn was going to have a poor shooting game after he'd been so lights out. Law of averages says they catch up to you every now and then. The fact that they did not quit, and the fact that they got back into the game speaks well. It's hard to go that far out, play 10 o'clock at night, your time. The key is the 2 overtime that they played against UCLA. What people don't understand is when you're on the road, you don't have access to your cook hall or your training facilities where the trainers can meet you whenever and give you ice baths and do all sorts of stuff. It's a different schedule when you're on the road and that far. So they just didn't have quite the same recovery options. But I said if they split the West Coast trip, I would be happy. The funny thing is, it kind of was in reverse. They beat UCLA and lost to USC, right. And I thought it would be the other way around.
And you can't split the next 2. Both at home, Wisconsin and Oregon, both must-wins, right?
Yes, I believe both are must-wins. And then if they could go on the road and get either Illinois or Purdue, that would be like icing on the cake. But I do believe the next 2 home games are must-wins. It's kind of interesting because Connerway had been out, with an injury. He came back last night. Of course, they kept Dorn in the starting lineup, and I think I would do that because I think he plays better as a starter, or has. But you got Conaway he's one of those players for IU that when he is focused and locked in, he's really good and a really good contributor. But he's not focused and locked in every game. And the games that he's not, where he's sloppy with the ball or making ill-advised choices on shooting or, whatever. And he did that last night. And I think that hurt a little bit too. I know Reed Bailey had a down game, but I'm not going to get on his case too much because he was tremendous in the previous games. I'd like to see more from Sam Alexis. Oh. I think if IU could get more from him, and I'm not necessarily talking points, I'm talking rebounds and defensively, that would help them tremendously.
Michelle, thank you so much. Michelle will be coming up in just a couple of minutes to talk some high school girls basketball. Stay tuned for that. And like I said, Michelle will be back in just a minute to talk about the Lapel Girls Basketball Sectional. The Hoosiers are now 15-8 overall and 6-6 in the Big Ten, but they do play their next two games at Assembly Hall. 16-6 Wisconsin visits on Saturday, 8-14 Oregon on Monday. Some other college basketball games on what was yesterday, Tuesday. Ball State is now 7-15 after a 77-52 loss to Bowling Green. Davion Hill scored 15 for the Cardinals. Miami of Ohio is 23-0 after a 73-71 win at Buffalo. Indiana State improved to 10-14 with an 84-63 win over Evansville. That snapped a 5-game losing streak for the Sycamores. And Bradley defeated Valparaiso 72-65. The Crusaders fall to 11-12. And St. Louis is 21-1 after a 91-82 win over Davidson. Purdue point guard Braden Smith has been named one of 10 finalists for the Bob Cousy Point Guard of the Year award. The reigning Big Ten Player of the Year is currently 8th on the all-time career assist list. Our Purdue report this week with Jay Dunn was released just a few hours ago. We discussed the 12th-ranked Boilermakers' place in the Big Ten and the national picture. Super Bowl 60 is just 4 days away. It'll be held in Santa Clara, California. On Sunday at 6:30, the game is on NBC. Seattle opened as a 3.5-point favorite. That spread immediately went to 4.5, the line, and it has pretty much stayed there since. Our guy Will Rutherford will have his preview this weekend, and he will be on this show to talk about Super Bowl 60. To our girls basketball sectionals, Frankton trailed by 8 points with just over 2 minutes to go, but came back to defeat rival Elwood 42-37 in overtime. Elwood had ended an 18-game losing streak to Frankton on Thursday, but couldn't hold on for the sweep. Macy Curtis finished with 20 points, including a big three-pointer in the fourth quarter. It's the 6th win in 7 games in the first year under head coach Caden Kay for the Eagles. Elwood's Breland Norris had a team-high 16 points and went over 1,000 points for her career with just under a minute left in the first half on a steal that she converted into a layup. Frankton will take on 6-16 Tipton in the first semifinal at Lapel on Friday. The host Bulldogs had no problem with Sheridan 64-40. Lanaya Wills finished with 22 points, 12 rebounds, and now needs 3 rebounds to pass Greenwood Christian's Isabella Reed's state record. Junior Riel Garner had 22 points and 5 steals for Sheridan. Number 6 Lapel is now 19-4 and will take on 3-21 Taylor in Friday's second semifinal. Here is Michelle Garmon with her recap from Tuesday night. Well, Michelle, Lapel proved on Tuesday night that this is their sectional to win, and they're going to be an awfully tough out in this postseason.
They really are. And the thing is, in my perspective, Lanaya Wills had a quiet game, but they didn't need her to have a huge game. Sophie Goodwin came out blazing. She actually scored Lapel's first 8 points and her first 10 points in 12 of 14. Then Addison Bodenhorn was hot from 3-point range in the second half. I saw her bury 3 all like within a 3-minute period. And that's when Lapel really separated themselves. And I will give Sheridan credit. They don't have a senior. They didn't quit. They kept that score, I think, acceptable for a half and about 2 minutes into the third quarter. So be interesting to see what Jalen does with them.
Last year they won with their senior class and their sophomore class. So that was pretty much their entire roster. Last year was seniors and sophomores. So next year should be a good one. And Brielle Garner is a nice player.
She really is. That game kind of went as expected. We talked about it, as you said. The sectional is Lapel's to win. And if they don't, they're going to be very disappointed. And I would not blame them.
Their next game is against Taylor, which of course should be a very easy win. The championship likely against Frankton or Tipton. And Frankton on Tuesday night looked like they were going to lose their second game in a row to Elwood in 5 days after they hadn't lost to them in 18 straight games. But in the end, their seniors, and in particular Macy Curtis, made sure that the season didn't end for the Eagles.
Macy stepped up really big on the offensive end, and defensively they got Layla Farrell and Delaney Perkins really did a nice job, I thought, in the second half on keeping Breland Norris contained a little bit, not really letting her get in one of those stretches, because Breland's the type of player that she can get in a stretch and she can score 10, 12, 14 points quickly,
right?
And change the game. But the way Frankton did when they came out with that high 2-3 trap and used all that, it made things tougher for Elwood. It was good defensive change by Coach Caden Key. And then Elwood some foul trouble. I talked about with Coach Licklider after the game. Samantha Dockery, she got into foul trouble there in the second half. And when she left the game and had to sit on the bench, they lost some rebounding and height inside. And that really made a big difference for Elwood too, because that allowed Elena Rash. She was a beast on the boards. I had her for 13 rebounds, and that's unofficial. I'm going to guess I missed one or two. So,
and on Macy's three-pointer, that was probably the biggest shot of the game, I heard you say, no. And then she made it.
No, good shot. Because as a coach, that's what you're doing. You're going, no. I mean, she was like 3 for 13 entering the sectional from 3-point range.
And she missed a couple of two-pointers that weren't that in particular close. Her shot did not look like it was very good last night, but that shot was certainly pure when they needed it.
It was. And she did just enough at the free throw line. So did Perkins was real good at the free throw line for them last night. And she had the big 3-point play that helped them get that 4-point lead in the fourth quarter. That her and Curtis kind of got that lead, put Frankton from behind out in front. No managed to even score, and it went into overtime. And of course, Frankton, all 5 points were at the free throw line. They were 5 of 8 in the overtime period. And Elwood did not score again after Avery Savage hit 1 of 2 free throws with like 23 and a half seconds remaining in the regulation.
All right, Michelle Garmon, thank you so much for your time. As always, appreciate it. Michelle and I will likely do the scoreboard show together on Friday night. We were supposed to last night, but it just got way too late. And everybody, please go listen to Tuesday nights, and we will be back Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday with some girls basketball scoreboard show. Great time of year, Michelle.
It is. Hoosier hysteria.
Staying in Class 2A at Wapahani, it was Burris 30-22 over Madison Grant. The Owls take on number 18 Alexandria on Friday, and Wapahani defeated Eastbrook 41-37. Savannah Fitzgerald had 11 points and 9 rebounds for the 10-11 Raiders. Eastbrook freshman Alexa Griffin had a game-high 17, according to Kate Hampton of the Muncie Star Press. It'll be Wapahani against Blackford on Friday in the second semifinal at Wapahani. Also in Class 2A, Sectional 38 at Wabash, Rochester defeated Manchester 56-55 in an absolute thriller. There were 8 lead changes in the fourth quarter. Braylon Hunter had 22 points to lead the Zebras, and they will take on 20-3 Cass, one of the sectional favorites, on Friday. Then Wabash defeated Eastern 37-32. Briley Boggs finished with 25 points to lead the Apaches. That according to Val Satsaris of WROI Radio. It'll be Wabash and number 12 Oak Hill, the other co-favorite, in the second semifinal on Friday. Class 3A at Mississinewa, Marion defeated New Haven 67-34. Naomi Hahn scored 35 points, and she also went over 1,000 points for her career. She's just a sophomore. She now has 1,016, according to Sam Frick of ANEC Sports. The Giants will take on number 5 Belmont on Friday. Western defeated Twin Lakes 57-17 to improve to 12-12. Elise Walden finished with 19 points and 12 rebounds, according to Brian Gaskins of the Kokomo Tribune. The Panthers will take on 2-20 Logansport on Friday. At Yorktown, Jay County defeated Newcastle 55-46 behind 17 points from Carson Schwederman. It'll be 16-7 Jay County against 15-8 Delta in Friday's first semifinal at Yorktown. In the second quarterfinal on Tuesday was number 11 Connorsville 50-30 over Hamilton Heights. The Spartans are now 16-7. Will take on 9-12 Yorktown on Friday. Anaya Bennett scored 20 for the Spartans. Class 4A, number 10 Pendleton Heights 60-39 over Mount Vernon. The Arabians now 20-3. Aubrey Warfel scored 16 points for Pendleton. Ada Hupfer passed her sister Megan for 10th on Pendleton Heights' all-time scoring list, according to Rob Hunt of the Anderson Herald Bulletin. It'll be Pendleton Heights and 4-17 Richmond on Friday. And in the second quarterfinal, Greenfield Central beat Muncie Central 50-13. Greenfield will take on Anderson on Friday. Anderson beat Greenfield Central by a point earlier this season. Izzy Silcock scored 13 for the Cougars. At Carmel, it was Zionsville 50-37 over Fishers, and number 7 Hamilton Southeastern 60-46 over Westfield. Kennedy Holman had 25 points for the Royals. It'll be Hamilton Southeastern versus Noblesville on Friday. And in Class A at Bethesda Christian, Clinton Central pulled off the upset of the night 44-40 over number 8 Rossville. The Bulldogs lost to Rossville by 18 points just 10 days earlier. Carly Davidson had 21 points, hit the go-ahead shot, then 2 game-clinching free throws, and then got the steal to clinch it. That according to Ethan Hansen of the Lafayette Courier and Journal. Clinton Central will take on Frontier on Friday. In the second quarterfinal was Carroll 62-40 over Clinton Prairie. It'll be 16-6 Carroll against 13-6 Bethesda Christian in the second semifinal on Friday. And finally at Southern Wells, it was Northfield 55-30 over Tri-Central, and North Miami beat Daleville 44-42. The second year in a row, the Warriors have eliminated Daleville. Couple of boys basketball games on Tuesday night. Elwood defeated Hamilton 43-31 to improve to 7-8. Bryce Schuler had 13 points for the Panthers. Elwood is one win away from equaling their best season in 14 years. Delta defeated 2A number 12 Blackford 55-45. 2A number 9 Liberty Christian 69-65 over 2A number 8 University. Big win for the Lions. Kendrick Martin had 31. Josh Henderson 19 for University. That according to Dave Carson. And Class A number 8 Southwood had no problem with Lewis Cass 63-47. Bryce Wilcox had 27 points on 11 of 14 shooting, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, and 3 blocks for the Knights. Ooh, had trouble with my recall there. Joe Luce, who led Marion, Richmond, and Jeffersonville to sectional championships and reached 400 career victories last season, has resigned as Wawassee's head coach in the middle of his first and obviously only season in Syracuse. And Lapel football star Jaden Lindsay will continue his football career at Marion, according to Rob Hunt. Coming up on Wednesday, just a couple of local girls basketball sectionals. 3A at Western, it will be 12-11 Peru against 2-19 Northwestern, and 17-5 Maconaquah against 8-15 West Lafayette. And in Class A at Southern Wells, 12-8 Southwood against 2-18 Westdell, and 14-7 Southern Wells against 6-13 Cowan. Don't forget, we will have a statewide scoreboard show on Wednesday night and also Friday and Saturday this week. The Noblesville Boom returned to action on Thursday. They have 2 games against first place Osceola starting at 7 o'clock in Florida. Second game is Friday at Silver Spurs Arena. Then a trip to Long Island to face the Nets for a couple of games before finally returning home on Thursday, February 12th against College Park. It's the first of 4 straight games at the arena of Innovation Mile. Men's basketball on Wednesday. Notre Dame is at Louisville, Butler's at Providence, Youngstown at Purdue Fort Wayne. In NAIA, Huntington takes on number 5 Indiana Wesleyan, and number 24 Taylor travels to Goshen. And coming off its first loss of the season, number 1 Grace hosts Spring Arbor at 7:30. In Division 3, 11-9 Anderson goes to 3-17 Manchester. The Ravens are in a 5-way tie atop the HCHC conference with Franklin, Rose-Hulman, Mount St. Joseph, and Transylvania. And in women's college basketball, Purdue hosts Penn State at 7. IU is at Wisconsin at 7:30. Ball State hosts Northern Illinois at 6:30 in their quest for a MAC championship. And Butler hosts Villanova at 7. Indiana Wesleyan hosts Huntington at 5. Taylor's at Goshen at 5:30. Those are Crossroads Leagues matchups. And Anderson hosts Manchester at 7 at O.C. Lewis Gymnasium. And now you know everything we know about Central Indiana sports. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow. Also released a Purdue report earlier today, and we will have a girls basketball scoreboard show later tonight. Please join us for all of the fun. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.